So I really wanted to talk to you guys about budgeting and why it's so important to us and our family. And it is something that we are passionate about, right? Obviously, we're passionate about each other. We got these 4 beautiful children. But I wanted to share with you guys some tips that work for us because I truly believe that they can work for any family, right? And it's never exciting to scale back, right? We talk about minimizing expenses. So what I wanted to do was share with you some of the things that we do in the Willis household to help minimize our expenses, but still have a lot of fun. So one of the things you have to buy is groceries, right? Right. So I wanted to give you some tips that we use. I'm not going to go over all of them, so if you want to take a picture, that would be great. Did you know that you can save money based on the time of day that you grocery shop? Yes. If you shop at a small store, it's best to shop in the mornings on weekdays. So if you have a weekday off from work, it's best to shop in the morning. One of the main reasons why is because manager specials are put out before the store opens. And some of you are like, what is a manager special, right? I've never seen that. If you shop after you get off of work, they're probably gone. Also, has anyone ever gone grocery shopping and then bought food on the way home because you were too tired to cook? I got $200 of groceries. Okay. Well, we used to do that all the time, but what we decided to do was with our superstore memberships like Costco or Sam's Club, if you go on the weekend, they give out a whole bunch of free samples, right? So we take all the children and we like to play a game called Build a Meal. It's kind of like Chopped, but everybody gets to come home with us, right? So then another thing that's really important to us is eating out. And if you have children, you know date night is sacred, right? Gotta have date night. So I keep my stress low and with my sprayology, right? So I wanted to go over some of the things that we do to make sure that our date night budget doesn't get out of control, right? And again, it's not about numbers. It's really about your budget being alive and being a part of your daily routine. So obviously, we're not going to not go on a date. So we just keep the cost low. So one of the main ones I wanted to go over that was really significant for us was once we went into business together, anytime we sit down and there's a table, right, Amma? We spend the first 20 minutes training or talking about business or game planning, and that allows it to be a tax write-off. That's something that not everybody has, right? And we all know you need to write off your lifestyle. That's right. Okay, great. So y'all got this? Okay, y'all don't be crowding our happy hours, okay? So some of the other things, obviously, I think it was Mr. Gamble that said we are all great at consuming, right? Being great consumers. These are some ways that we still shop like we normally did, except for we just take a few steps in advance, right? So one of the ones I wanted to go over is before you look at the price tag of an item you're looking at, figure out what the value is to you, right? Y'all have heard that in sales, right? It's only worth what somebody's willing to pay. So sometimes I pick up a shirt and I'm like, about $20 like this shirt, right? That's about how much I like it. And if I flip the tag and it says it's $34.99, it goes back on the rack because it's only worth $20 to me. So that's just something small that we do. You'd be surprised how much it cuts down. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is maximizing your strengths. So the first one that I want to go over is tools, right? So your income is a tool. We already know how to maximize your income, right? First you adjust your W. That's right. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because you all know because you're here. The second tool that you have that you need to utilize is your MyEcon back office. So I know everybody's doing the budgeting that's in the back office, right? And has that filled out? You got your year when you're going to become a millionaire? Some of you are like, oh, that's in there? Yeah, but yeah, it's in there. 2020. Where's my husband? Okay. So your MyEcon back office, I can tell you it's the main reason why Tiandra and I are paying off all of our debt 9 years early. And for those of you that know us, I think we have about 18 months left based on when we first started. Okay, and then you also want to work on your follow-through, just sticking to it, right? Friends. Your friends can be a strength because your friend, like, let's say you have friends that are great at money, right? Some of them are in the room with you, right? You're like, they'll sign me up for this. But share your goals with your friends, right? Some of you are like, hey, I barely know these people. I just heard that if I had 4 friends that were good with money, I would be the what? Right. So if that's you, just, don't look them in the eye right now. But share your goals with your friends and give them permission to hold you accountable, right? Because it's important to learn from mistakes, but they don't always have to be yours. And the odds are if your friend is good with money, at one point they weren't, right? So you can learn from their experiences. And please understand that if you ask them to hold you accountable, they will. Okay, they will stop you in the store, or they'll be like, girl, how many did you have? You gonna order fries too? Okay. All right, legacy. This is a strength, right? You can attach others as far as how they will benefit from you keeping your budget, from you attaining financial freedom, which is important to all of us, right? So if legacy is your strength, you've probably been told that you put others before yourself, right? You've been called a servant leader maybe at one point or another. And I think Mr. Bryant Bing even said, attach your children to your legacy. And that's exactly what I have here, because that makes it easier for a lot of us, right, that are used to putting other people first. If you attach them, it allows you to make your why very clear, right? And all of a sudden, supersizing doesn't seem so important, right? Or you're like, Miss Ellie, I'm going to go home and cook, not just for the health benefit, but for the financial benefit, right? So you want to minimize your weaknesses, right? So in my econ, we call this minimizing your expenses. So I'm going to talk about some of the problems that might be running your expenses up. So first one is swiping. All right, I know it's inserting now, but I'm still going to call it swiping. How many of you swipe game is so strong? Exactly. This is actually a weakness. And the reason why is because there's a mental disconnect with swiping your card and how swiftly money is leaving your household. And so it's important to note that that is a weakness. So I would suggest leaving your cards at home, right? That's going to help you minimize it. And put yourself on a cash allowance, right? And I have some personal experience with having a strong swipe game. And if this is you, you're probably telling yourself why this won't work for you, right? I need to have my cards just in case, right? So I want you to think about, Mr. Bryant Bing said, you've probably been doing the same thing for the past 10 years, right? So I want you to think about in the past 10 years, how many of your just-in-case emergency expenses could you have done without? Or were they just about convenience, right? Because I had my card, I bought it. Now I want you to think about over the course of 10 years, the amount that would add up to. And tell me yes or no, would you rather have that in an investment account right now? True, right. If not, I'll take it. Just let me know. And I would suggest keeping a transaction log. For someone like me that's like always on the go, always got the children, that alone is a reason not to use my card. I'm like, I do not want to take the time to write this down. Okay. Plan your purchases in advance. Feelings can be a weakness, right? And the main way around this, instant gratification, right? The thrill of the buy, right? Yeah, I know y'all familiar with thrill of the sale, but thrill of the buy. You want to plan your purchases in advance. This allows it to not be an emotional decision, right? And the easiest way to make sure that this is attainable for you is by including your pampering in your budget. Now, your budget could be video games, hair and nails, whatever guilty pleasure. I'm not going to pull them all out, but include them in your budget in advance. This allows you to be strategic and not emotional about how you're spending your money. You want to plan ahead for holidays and special occasions in advance. I think it was Seth Mitchell that once said, take what you spent for Christmas, I know, holidays, but take what you spent for Christmas last year and divide it by 12 and try to save that throughout the year. And so it's just one of those ways to not just be in the store like, oh, I think I need more, right? Excuses. So I hear a lot of people say, oh, if I had more money, I would be better at budgeting, right? I think we heard that in a few different scenarios today. I would suggest to commit out of curiosity, right? Maybe I'm not going to have the cold hard numbers of a budget, but I'm going to submit to keeping up with my money just to see where I am at the end of 6 months, right? Operate on principle only. Now, this is a key one that we use almost everywhere, right? Because it's very important to operate on your principles. That way you won't be ever changing. Is anybody's budget ever changing? You're like, I'm on a budget. Oh, but they're having a sale. But if you're operating on principle, and I find this very easy when you've attached your legacy to it. So one of the things that I find about a lot of the weaknesses here is that it's really based off like your daily activity, right? And sometimes our daily activity doesn't add up to the fact that we would like some financial freedom. I think that's everyone in here, right? So my sons, I have a particularly hard time getting them to brush their teeth. Is that just my sons or that's just boys? Okay, okay. So after a very harsh dentist appointment, my son they come to me, they're very upset, right? They got these cavities. I'm like, you don't brush your teeth. I don't know. That's how you get them. And they're like, man, but I don't like to brush my teeth, but I definitely don't want to have cavities. And it's like, okay, well, I'll tell you what. You don't have to brush all your teeth. Just brush the teeth that you don't want to lose or have cavities in. Let's do that. So now they're brushing their teeth and singing the alphabet. It's pretty cool. But I would say that to you. You don't have to budget all your money. Just budget the money you don't want to lose, right? Thank you. Because it all comes down to me using this right. It all comes down to that. The biggest issue you can have with your budget is not doing it, right? And doing it in a way that works for you.